Hey y'all, this is Jeremy again at the Archery Shack. I wanted to go through a bow with double bus cables with yokes. So we're going to restring a little Hoyt Ruckus real quick and show you what's going on. Already got the strings made, got them in my hand, making sure they don't untwist or anything. So we'll go ahead and start installing, and then we'll go through the cam alignment and timing process. It sounded cool, didn't it? We'll just start getting the cables hooked up first. Then we'll go with our other cable. Get it hooked on there. Get our yokes hooked up. So the thing with this bow is we've got double yokes, so we're going to restring it. Then we got to get our cams pointing at each other identical with a laser. And then we'll get our cam timing set. And then we'll get into paper tuning and all that kind of stuff. So our cables are on. Now we're going to move on to the string itself. Get it hooked up. A lot of Bowtech bows are made like this with the double yoke. I honestly like it because you can fine tune each cam to be perfectly lined up. You don't have to shim, you don't have to do anything crazy. You just twist on the yoke and orient the cam the right way. Let's get this joker going here. Now we're cooking. Okay, let's press it a little bit more. Get the other side back on. Then we'll be ready to take it to the vise. Okay, she's on. Now I'm just going to take a random observation here. Go ahead and put a few twists. So the reason that you need more twist in one side of the yoke is because you got a cable rod pulling it over here. So it's not going to be the exact same on each side. So let's go ahead and hook up that cable slide. That is a tight cable slide. Man. I don't know about this one. Is it collapsed? I guess it's just the way it's made. Get these clicked in there. Get it on there. Got plenty of clearance. Now that this is clicked on there, you can see this side of the yoke is way looser than the left side. So I'm going to go ahead and put some twist to try to compensate for all that. And then we'll get the laser out later and make sure. And on this side, this side's loose. I'm just going to get it in the ballpark. And then later we're going to fine tune it. Let's go ahead and put the peep in. Alright, so we cut the old peep out of the old string. While we got it in the press, we're going to go ahead and throw it in there. We're looking good, and I'm going to go ahead and feed this QAD cord into the cable. It'll be one less thing to do later. We're actually trying a new material on this string from Bloodline Fiber. To sort of, we got some at the show, the ATA show. We're going to see what we think of it, but I'm going to make sure everything is on here right, looks good. We don't want any little surprises when we take it out of the press. Looks good to me. So we're going to go over to the vise, put a loop on it, and then start checking for cam lean. Okay, we made it to the vise. I'm gonna take one of his arrows, stick it in the bow, and then I'm gonna take a level, lay it on the riser. This is just a starting point, usually. We'll get it level. I'm gonna stick an arrow level down here. I'm gonna set it dead level. Good starting point. Sometimes you can eyeball this because we're gonna ultimately, we may end up changing it when we shoot it through paper and doing all our other stuff. I'm gonna tie 2 little knocks above and below the loop on the inside to keep this arrow from getting pinched. You ever pull your bow back and it wants to lift up off the rest? We're trying to prevent that here. So I tie these little inner knocks back and forth and give that knock plenty of room, and the loop don't want to, at full draw or coming to full draw, it don't want to try to slide together and pick up on that arrow, put preload on it. That's what we do not want. It can give you weird, I've had it give people weird paper tears, weird walk back tunes, weird arrow flight, and it's all because that arrow's getting some push from the loop. The knot in the loop is pushing on it, so we don't want to even go there. Tie this on. Like so. Okay, there's the top one. I'm going to get rid of my levels at this point. I'm going to slide my knock down. I'm going to burn this. Okay, and we'll do the same thing on the bottom. Some people only do one on the top or bottom, but I still feel like it gives that knock, that loop, room to pinch the knock, so I don't try to do that. I'll give it just a little bit of room. Same thing on the bottom. Get these nice and snug. Keep my fingers all calloused up and tore up from doing this all the time. Bleeding sometimes. Once we get the loop on, we will go to the draw board, and first we'll get our cams perfectly in line with each other by twisting the yokes. Then once we do that, we'll time the cams, and then we'll be ready to go back and shoot it through some paper. Usually through paper, you can make a stiff arrow act right if you have your cams not leaning crazy and doing weird stuff, and the bow has decent knock travel. But if it's a weak arrow, you usually can't do a whole lot with it. But we're good here. I think we got some 500 spines, and this is a lower poundage bow, but we still want to do all of our usual tuning stuff. Now that those are burnt, I take and put a little dot of glue, not on the center serving, but on the 2 little knock servings, because I don't want the friction of that knock to wear it, after a couple hundred shots. I don't want it to try to untie itself or wear it, so I just put a little dot of glue. Now we'll get us a loop, probably a flow green loop, put it on there, get the peak tied back in, and go to the draw board. Okie doke, so we got us a piece of loop. I'm going to flare out the end, burn it, make sure we got no little air pockets in there. Looks good. Let that cool off. Nothing will wake you up like sticking a fresh piece of burnt loop to your finger in the morning. Okay, we'll tie this puppy on there, get it snugged up, and then slide it up to our inner knock. And then we'll tie the top piece, wrap it around, cut it, burn it, just like the bottom. Get it flared out nice and pretty. We don't need nothing to pull through. Never had that happen, but I have seen other people have it happen, so I don't need to be one of those guys, if you know what I mean. Get that nice, pretty. Okay. Give that a second to cool off. Beautiful. We're going to tuck that back around. I didn't want to burn it while it was hooked to around the loop because I don't need it to burn the actual loop. I'm going to snug it up. That's perfect. I'm going to take his old string now and go ahead and tie in his peep. I'm going to line it up. It's almost in the perfect spot already. I'm going to line up his old loop and probably push it back where it was at. That's beautiful. Take his arrow out. I'm going to lay this thing down for a second. Grab a piece of serving. Go ahead and grab 2 pieces. How about that? And for this particular bow, I'm just going to do some quick little half hitch looking thing. Run it through itself. The reason I'm doing it this way on this bow, let me get this out of my mouth, is because this, if you have enough fingernail, you can slide this if you really push on it. So this bow belongs to a young man that's still growing, which probably means we'll end up pushing his peep up in the next 6 months to a year. So instead of cutting it loose and doing all that, when we change the draw length, we can torture ourselves and slowly slide this thing up. It's not like it'll slide easy, but it will move if we put our minds to it. Get the top tied in. Make sure it stays straight. Lots of times when you tie it in, you're compressing the string twist, and it'll make the actual peep rotate because it's got a preload above and below it. So this one looks like it's straight, so we're good. Sometimes we have to press it and put a twist or 2 in it. So we'll keep on a tying here. Pull it snug. I'll tell you who showed me how to tie in a peep like this, and at the time I thought he was crazy because I didn't like it. And that is George Chapman, who used to do the PSC archery school back in the early 2000s. That was hot. Okay. I'm going to twist our peep around, our loop around. Our peep is still straight. I'm going to give a little tug on our loop. And let's go to the draw board. Alright, we got it in the draw board here. We know that everything's going to be close as far as timing because we measured these strings and cables under 100 pounds before we installed them. What's not going to be close is our cam lean, which means we're going to have to twist the yoke legs to get the cams dead in line with each other at full draw. So I'm going to pull it back. And I'm going to put this laser from Spot Hog on each cam and see what we need to twist. So, ideally, on each side, it'll be even on the limb, and it's definitely not. So on the top of the bow, we're going to twist the green side of the yoke. I'm going to go down to the bottom. Maybe the bottom's close, let's see. So the bottom, the laser is on the cable connector on the top axle on the left side. And it's right on the connector on this side. So the bottom I can leave alone, believe it or not. And to double check this at home, you can take an arrow and you could lay that arrow down the sides of the cam. It'd have to be at full draw, so it'd be sort of sketchy. but you can see if that arrow is leaning one way or another. But on the top cam, it's leaning way over, so we're going to put some twist in this green side of the yoke. Okay. Get her pressed back down. I'm going to actually take out a few twists of the black side, and I'm going to put in a few twists in the green side. Take a few more out of the black, just for good luck. And this is just a, it'll take a few times to get this right, but that's fine. Make sure everything's still on. Back to the draw board. Back to the drawing board. Sounds kind of cool. Hook it back up to our scale just in case we need to use it. Put our little safety rope on there because I don't trust this little hook on the scale. Pull it back again. Okay, the top cam. Now we're on, can you see that on the video? We're on that black, hang on, he's going to, our laser's on the side of the cam hitting that black connector. I'm going to flip it to the other side of the cam, and we are in the exact same spot. So there's the left side from where I'm standing, and there, well, if I can find it, there it is, there's the right. That tells me the bottom and top cams are perfect because I already checked the bottom. Since we've been twisting on the yokes, the cams are out of time. This one, he's bringing it over, is touching the cable, and the bottom one is a good ways away. Here's the stop. So we're going to put some twist in one of the cables and correct that real quick. Back to the press. Okay, so I don't want to mess with the yoke ends because I've got them right. So I'm gonna unhook the other end. Pop it loose. I'm going to give it about 3 twists to start with, and I might be doing too many.
It was a good ways off.
Yeah, it was a good ways off. If I can get that to click back on there, we'll be in business. There we go. We'll get our string back on. Give it a little crank. So what we've done so far is got the strings on, looped it, put the peep in, got our cams not leaning, looking toward each other perfectly. Now we'll set our timing, and then from there we're going to set the rest. We need it to come up at a certain time. It's a QAD rest, and then we can finally go shoot this joker. Back to the draw board. I may have overdone it or I may have underdone it. There's no telling because it was a good ways from touching. Click it on there. Come back to full draw. Now only thing I'm looking at is those 2 draw stops. And it looks like I over adjusted it. And if you need to see which one needs to rotate, you can kind of push on the cables and see which cam rotates. So let's go back to the bow press and take about a twist to a twist and a half out of what we just did. Back to the press. We'll take a little bit out of one cable. See if we can get these stops hitting close. And every bow kind of has its own personality of how it wants to act when you start doing all this stuff. So this one, it seems like don't take a whole lot of twist to get them to the stops to move. Some bows take a lot of twists. It's a lot of factors. How many twists are in the string and cable and all that kind of thing. So now we'll go back to the draw board and check it again. Sometimes this takes 5 or 6 shots to get it just right, but not a problem. Back to the draw board. We're gonna be close. We're real close. All right, so now let's talk about this. Our top stop hits. Our bottom stop is super duper duper close. If I put even a half a twist in that cable, it'll overcompensate. So now what I have to do is put a half a twist in the yoke cables because I want to micro adjust this thing. So I'm going to put a half a twist in the bottom 2 yoke cables. And I got a feeling that is going to put us right on the money. And if you think about it, these 2 yoke cables, if you put like a half a twist in them, in those, it's almost like a quarter twist. That's the way I think of it, in the entire cable. But all I'm doing is just ever so slightly. We're still good. Let's check it now. I got a feeling that's going to be right on the money. Okay, let's see what we got. That's her. Now our cams are hitting the same. One more time with this laser on the side. Let me make sure I'm flush. We're right on that top of that limb. We're hitting that. Let's see, there it is. We're hitting that black where the yoke hooks. We're going to check the top cam again. Same thing. We're right there between the limb and the cable connector. Over on this side, right there on the same spot. So this bow is perfectly in time, and the cams have 0 lean at full draw. Now what we got to do is slide this rest cord up and down until we get this rest time just like we want it. It's a QAD rest. So I want it on this bow, with it being a shorter draw length, I want it to come up about an inch before it gets to full draw. Right there, actually. The only thing I need to do is flip this cable around because I don't want it pointing toward the arrow. I want it pointed out. So I'm going to grab a string separator. We're going to take this separator and slide it into this cable like so. If I can get my... There we go. I'm going to put it in this side because I don't want it to potentially hit the arrow. I'm going to check the timing again. The QAD rests have little timing marks you can go by. That one's not coming up, so I'm going to slide the cable back down just a little bit. Check it again. Oh, we're close. It needs to go down just a hair. Again, on an adult bow, I would have it come up a little sooner, but with a short draw length and all this type of thing, I don't want to have a potential. That's where I want it, of it slapping the rest. Now all I got to do is tie in this rest cord so it don't ever move, and then we'll go shoot it through paper. Okay, we're back. Got me a piece of serving. I'm going to tie this in so that it never moves. I'm going to try. I'm not a fan of this cable slide. I was trying to get this cable out of my way. I can't get it out, so it's okay. we'll go a different route. That'll work. We'll tie it in like I tied the peep in, since we're in sort of a confined area. We'll get it, pull it down, make sure we're good and snug, because we don't want this to move ever, because it'll affect our everything, the rest, the aeroflight. It could make the fletchings hit. We don't need any of that going on. Once we do this sort of last thing, we'll take it and shoot it through the paper, see if we need any knock height or center shot adjustments. And then we'll wait till young Charlie comes in. We'll have him do the same thing, because we want it ultimately tuned to him. Get up under there like that. Is it working? There we go. Now we're cooking with gas. Let's go shoot this thing and see what it does through paper. We've made it to the hallway. We're going to paper tune it and see what it looks like through paper. We got a perfect bullet hole. Perfect center, 3 fletching. So now I just got to wait for him to come pick it up, verify that it does the same thing with him, and go from there. So if you're in the local area, we're in Anderson, South Carolina. Check us out, the Archery Shack, www.archeryshack.com. If you're not in the local area and you need your bow worked on or tuned or restrung, give us a call, because you can ship it in. We have a lot of people do that, and we'll be happy to fix it that way. Our phone number is 864-735-8484, and we look forward to hearing from you. Even if you just have some questions about tuning your own bow, give us a call. Happy to help any way we can. Thanks for watching.